And good morning, everybody. Robert, how you doing? Firstly, everyone in the DACC, thank you guys for those who managed to tune in and join us. Apologies, we didn't get an event out for this one in time, but we will in future. But yeah, we've got a really great guest today, Robert Craven. Robert, just quick intro of yourself, where people can find you online. You want to just tell everyone?
Oh, okay. So I run a business called GYDA Initiative. That's GYDA. So Grow Your Digital Agency, GYDAinitiative.com. And you can find me robert-craven.com if you want to find me. Always happy to engage with people.
Amazing. Cool. And I mean, one of the reasons we're talking to Robert today, guys, is because Robert's place in the world, as far as we see it as well, is he's a support system as well for digital agencies. You know, his space is one where he helps digital agency owners run better businesses, and that's sort of our space as well. So it's always good to connect with people like that and to see that they, you know, what value they can share with us. Obviously, we try to share in the community to help you guys run better businesses. Robert does the same. He's also got a community on Facebook as well, where he does the same. But one of the things that jumped out at me with what Robert's done, one of the conversations that he's had that I thought might be interesting just to chat in this quick little live that we do, is to discuss the loneliness of being a digital agency owner. I saw a video that Robert did discussing, you know, kind of the lone wolf strategy, I think you called it. You know, hitting and I suppose this is true for any business, but this is ironically one of the real driving forces behind the reasons that we started this community. Was we support digital agencies with resources. We help them, you know, with SEO campaigns and copywriting and all that. But one of the spin-offs of that is we get to engage with agency owners quite a lot about how their agency is going. And one of the real challenges we found from so many agencies was, man, it's kind of lonely. You know, it's very competitive. My competitors are cutthroat, and nobody wants to work with me within the industry. You know, how do I get help and where do I go? So we felt the community was a good way for us to sort of share that, you know, attack that problem amongst other problems and say, hey guys, don't be lonely. Come share it with other digital agencies who may potentially not be your competitors. But even if they are your competitors, you can still learn a lot from them. And I think, Robert, that's what we were kind of getting at as well in your video that I saw, was there is help out there for digital agency owners.
Yeah. So, pardon me. Right. So where do I start on this one? So I think the thing is, one, we are like reluctant entrepreneurs. So what happens is you're busy away, you're coding, you're doing PPC, doing a piece of work, a couple of clients. Suddenly you've got 1 or 2 people working for you, 5 people, you kind of need an office in town, 7 people, you need a bookkeeper, and boom, suddenly you're running a business. And it kind of wasn't what you signed up for. What you signed up for was, hey, I can be a freelancer, I can be independent, I can do my own thing. And what you don't realize is suddenly you are dependent. You're dependent on customers, you're dependent on suppliers, you're dependent on staff. And this idea that, hey, I'm going to be the next Richard Branson, I'm going to have so much fun, such a laugh. You suddenly realize there's a deadline for Black Friday, there's a deadline for Christmas, and all your freelancers are bogged off somewhere on holiday and you're left working till 5 a.m. So there's a kind of an entrepreneurship sort of, how should we put it, almost like a con. We fall into this idea that now I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to be richer than my wildest dreams. And actually it takes a bit more to run an agency. Yeah. I think the other thing is, which links to the loneliness and why the loneliness is so important, is, look, why can't you grow your agency? Now, the point is that is it how to put up prices? If you want to figure out how to put up prices, just Google it. Is it how do I get better clients? Just Google it. Is it about what's my unique selling proposition? Just Google it. We know, or we can find out how to do stuff, okay? So the problem for most agency owners isn't how do I grow my business? Because we've all got Google, we've all got books. You know, you can buy my Grow Your Digital Agency book. The issue is up here, that we, for whatever reason, our mindset isn't right. We're not ready. We're not prepared. We haven't got the confidence to actually make some of the tough decisions. So that's where I think the loneliness thing kind of comes in. That kicks in. And in a way, what I'm saying is, with people around you, with a a crack squad around you who also believe that you are great and you can do great stuff. They can nudge you, they can push you to make the tough decisions. That whole, oh, I don't think I should be really charging that amount, that, oh, they're screwing me over, how do I reply to it? You need people around you in order to say to you, you're not mad, you know, you're unusual because you're running your own business, but you're not mad. And yes, ask for that $100 an hour, or yes, tell them, no, you're not prepared to do that. So I think there's a real sense of we get lonely, but actually it's the team around you that you create, whether that's a mastermind or whether that's an online group or a Facebook group, but it's the community around you that you create that gives you the confidence. It's the board you couldn't afford, and you can make that as formal or as informal as you like.
Right, exactly. Listen, you've hit on so much there. I think that is so true. And going back to the beginning, what you were saying about we are these unwilling entrepreneurs sometimes. A lot of the time we start a digital agency because we're great at one thing. We're great, we're great copywriters, whatever it is. And we land up in this space where we are forced into entrepreneurship and forced into, hey man, I'm talking to someone and they're saying, oh, about revenue. What's my revenue? I don't know what my revenue goal is. I just want to write copy, or I just want to build websites, or whatever it is. So it's not this is all very it's not news to a lot of people, but it seems like as we run our digital agencies around us that there's only a few agency owners sort of crack it and get to that stage where they can say, hey, my agency's actually, I've employed a few people now, and I'm no longer, I've got people I've got an SEO department, and I've got a website. And there's a bit of envy, I suppose, amongst digital agency owners who don't reach those peaks. And what invariably happens as well with what you've described there is, if we are unwilling entrepreneurs and we say, oh, well, man, I didn't never intended to run a business, but if I want to make money, I need to actually be formal about this and put a business plan together and start doing it properly. What 9 times out of 10 I found with digital agency owners is they start working in their business and not on their business, which is anybody who's been to a business coach knows that this kind of script before. And that's so dangerous, man. It's so dangerous because you are going to, as your example that you put out about, everybody going on holiday or going on Christmas leave or whatever, and you just sat there working on the business, is what ends up happening when you work in your business and not on it. And, what I would say to agencies there as well from that regard is, the other thing you struck on was pricing, which is a huge thing for a lot of agencies. A lot of agencies are still just fumbling in the dark about their pricing. Like you say, just Google it. And by the way, guys, if anyone's watching and they need help with pricing, we've got legitimate documents you can use that can help you set your pricing in whatever country you are in the world. Give me a shout, DM me, and I'll shoot you a free copy of it. You can help you out with your pricing. But I think the point there is that the help is out there. Communities like this, communities like Robert's, the online free training communities are out there. You do get your paid communities, obviously. I mean, I'm part of one that's really powerful. It's a really top entrepreneurial mindset community, which is great. But you can get the free help, and it's a matter of just getting out there and asking for the help. I guess what I'm thinking, devil's advocate here, if an agency owner is watching saying, yeah, but I've Googled all that and there's so much crap out there. There's so much rubbish out there. What would your advice be about, finding the right community to follow, finding the right advice? What if you get bad advice? There's a lot of keyboard warriors on Facebook. And,
Yeah, so that's a great question, because there's a whole load of snake oil salesmen out there right now. Too many, way too many, and they're taking money from people and not giving value. Well, I think you can do everything from get yourself a buddy, find someone who you trust, who's probably in a similar niche or a similar industry, and just phone them up once a fortnight for an hour on Monday morning, 9 o'clock, and start saying, what have you done? What worked? What are you going to do? Okay, write it down. Fortnight later, hey, you said you were going to put your prices up. Hey, you said you were going to do 3 proposals. Hey, you said you were going to go networking. Have you done it? So there's a bit of accountability built in there. And I think that's an option which is free and easy, but it's relatively unstructured. I think there are, as you say, a bunch of groups and communities, but the downside of that is, if it is free, then you may not be getting the best quality, and it may not be as well managed and looked after as it could be. And then I think you've got some choices. I think you've got the choice of one-to-one consulting, coaching, mentoring, whatever you wish to call it. And if you're going to go down that route, then make sure you've got some references from other clients, that you're not bamboozled by the wonderful shininess of the website that has big numbers and, you know, I was lost and now I'm found and Fred took me there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And one I think that gets missed out is mastermind groups, which is a group of 10 people, because by definition it's a tenth of the price of consulting, because it's one leader and 10 people around it. And mastermind groups are fantastic because you have, it's peer, my version, so to speak, is it's peer-to-peer. So you have 9 other agencies who are in a similar place doing similar stuff, and they've all agreed to create a club of working together. So at the top of the show, you were saying, you know, about agency folk not willing to share stuff. Yeah. My experience is that once the room is locked and everyone's agreed and signed the documentation that they're not going to share anything else, that people realize that they've got far more in common with their competitors, even in the same town. They can actually end up saying, oh, did you know the town council are doing this? We're not so great at PPC, we're better at SEO. Why don't we get together? We'll do the PPC, you do the SEO.
Yeah.
And you find there's a whole load of new deals going on.
Yeah.
and there's also this discovery that, jeepers, you know, we're all going, am I charging enough? My people are driving me mad. How do I get more customers? We're all in the same boat, give or take, and we've all got solutions and ways of dealing with it. And that's why I think that there's such a great kind of way of doing stuff.
Yeah, what you just hit on there about pricing and execution resources is something that always blows my mind. Obviously, we're in the resource space, but always blows my mind when you speak to an agency and they say, "Oh, I've got some freelancers who I use in the area, or I've got a freelance copywriter over there." And I just never get it that I know why they've done that. They've gone to the freelance route, which is an unreliable route very often, and they often get let down quality-wise or reliability-wise, you know, in terms of deadline. I've never gotten it why agencies don't turn around and say, hey man, there's actually an agency who's really strong in copywriting and I'm weak at it, but I'm strong at web and they're strong and they're weak at web. Why have I not partnered up with those guys? And what lands up happening is you're not just, because when you work with a freelance, it's one-way street. It's here's some work, give me the work and I'll pay you. Whereas if you partner up with another agency and you say, hey man, you're good at web, I'm good at copy, let's hook up. And you're also actually serving each other clients and you're growing each other to grow each other.
But it's the same, it's the same thing for tradesmen. You know, if a plumber comes into your house, you know, it's bonkers that the plumber has gone to all that effort of getting sorted out to get into your house. And while the plumber's there, you inevitably say, oh, so that wall would need repainting. And the plumber says, yeah, I've got a friend who can do that. You know, we can actually cross-sell to other agencies. It doesn't have to be, it's all about me. And the beauty of bringing someone else in, of referring someone else in, is that they, in inverted commas, owe you. Now, you've then got a choice. You can either say, oh, it's going to be a 10% kickback, which personally I don't think so clever, because then they've paid the debt. Yeah. If you don't take the kickback, just wait for this moment, then they owe you a debt. And my experience is that they repay the debt more than the 10% kickback you would have got, because they kind of, not everyone does it. Occasionally you'll get screwed over by someone. Yeah. But I think that you don't have to have a formal 10% relationship. And it's just that sense of, you get to be known to be the good guy or good gal. You get more agencies, people like you coming towards you, working with you, who will have clients more like you. And it creates, although this sounds horribly hippie and touchy-feely, it does actually create this kind of a momentum, a head of steam that otherwise you don't get if you're just saying, I'm only thinking about me, I'm only doing me. If it's not about me, I'm not interested. Yeah.
I think, you know, it's so interesting is everything you've just described to me jumps out at me at that and boils down to another big factor in running a digital agency. And this isn't something that's unique and exclusive to the digital space. I think it's in all businesses. You hit on tradies, for example. But I think what you're hitting on is the scarcity mentality. We as agency owners tend to sit around thinking, oh, there's not enough work for all of us, and I don't want to share. God forbid I should share anything with my competitor or potential competitor. They're not even a competitor. They could become, or they're not even a competitor, and you just view them as a competitor. And you tend to sit there thinking, oh, there's not enough work, so I don't want to lose out, and et cetera, et cetera. And what you're not realizing is there is more than enough work out there for everybody. It's for me, and with my mindset, is that mentality is a lazy mentality. You're not saying there's not enough work. You're just saying that I'm not prepared to do the work required to actually get the work. I'm happy to just be lazy and sit back and let the work that is out there, that's easy, low-hanging fruit, come to me. Whereas if I get off my ass and say, right, share away, I'm going to bust my ass. I'm going to go to that next level, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to take my agency to the next level. I'm going to hit those KPIs. I'm going to hit those revenue targets that I'm planning on hitting. And that's going to take me to a point where I can hire another web designer. That's going to take me to a point where I can hire another SEO specialist. I can hire a full-time copywriter. And all of a sudden, with all of these resources in my business, I can now start working on my business and not in it. And I can start getting out of the mire of the day-to-day detail and start saying, man, let me go join an RTA syndicate or a really good networking group, an EO or something like that, and say, hey, man, guys, I'm here. I've got a business that's ticking along without me. Because how did I get there? Well, I shared. I introduced people. I gave, I recognized there was enough work out there. I got off my ass and I went to hunt for that work. And that's how I got to the stage. That's how the big guys are getting there. That's how the people who are turning over 6-7 figure agencies are actually getting there. Is they're not sitting back wondering about, is there enough work? They're going out there to find the work, and they recognize there is enough work out there. But understand that it's a mindset thing. I think you've got to get around.
Yeah, and I think that mindset, so we go back to the loneliness thing, which is, so I think coupled with combating that loneliness is actually confronting, I'd argue, confronting your vulnerability. So what tends to happen again is we tend to be, oh, I'm the boss, I'm the dad, I'm the teacher, I need to know all the answers. And I'm in front of the client, but when you actually flip that, get rid of all the kind of testosterone driven alpha male type stuff, and offer and show some vulnerability, you actually get much further. So one, you actually, whether it's in a community, mastermind, or consultancy, but when you actually say, actually, I don't know the answer to this, can someone help me? One, it's amazing what help actually appears. But secondly, other people have been through it already. So if it's, hey, I just feel like I've lost my mojo. When I started the business, I was really pumped, but I'm like 4 or 5 years in, and now I'm just really tired. Does anyone else feel like that? Has anyone else got some suggestions from that? People will go, my God, that guy's totally nailed what I feel. Yeah. This is what I did. This is how I did it. And likewise with, I can't believe another member of staff has just left after a month. Other people come in. Now, the problem we have, this all, oh, I'm okay, Jack, deep voice stuff, is as long as we keep our kind of cards to our chest, other people can't help us, and it's a self-limiting piece of that loneliness. And my suggestion is that if you do reach out to people, they're incredibly generous. I mean, again, I can't believe I'm talking so much soft woolly stuff today, because it's not my normal style. I'm normally more about put the prices up, screw the supplier's feet to the ground. But in terms of your own kind of self-survival, being a lone wolf isn't desperately clever, because you end up not sharing this with your partner, you end up working and you can't see the wood for the trees. And one of the things that I always like saying to people is, okay, so you're turning over, doesn't really matter what the numbers are, you're doing 100K with 1 employee, or you're doing 1 million with 10 employees, or you're doing 10 million with 100 employees. If you added a naught to the number of staff and the turnover, how would you be behaving differently?
Yeah.
Because what happens is, when we're doing 100K with 1 member of staff, we're all thinking, oh, it's all about me. I don't know. Oh, I got to do the accounts. When you've got 10 people, you've got a bookkeeper, and it's like, but it's like, oh, we only specialize in one thing. And when you're 100 people, it's, oh my God, everyone's, but it's about getting out of this fixation with our own bubble, which we believe is so precious and so important, and we literally can't see the wood for the tree. So that's what he was saying earlier on about working on and working in, you know. So for me, take pride.
And what you've hit on there, I think, as well, is one of those really, really key early day entrepreneur challenges that we all face, which is pushing away from us, you know, delegation, letting people who won't do the job the way that we would want to do the job, but will get the job done. Hey man, I'm used to doing the books myself. I'm used to building the website like that. Push it away from yourself. Otherwise, you're never going to get that space to say, hey man, I need some help, and let me go look for that help. You're always going to be working in your business.
Yeah,
so
and that's about, you know, am I this piece of work that I'm doing right now, doesn't matter what it is, this interview. The article I wrote earlier on, the piece of work I did for a client earlier on today, is that $10 an hour work? Is it $100 an hour work? Or is it $1,000 an hour work? Because if you're not doing some $1,000 an hour work, whether that's going in and nailing that $5,000 program or whatever, if you're not doing some $1,000 hour, if you're only doing $10 an hour work, you might as well go and pack the shelves at the local supermarket. And I think it's really, really tough, because most people who set up an agency didn't set it up in order to be a manager. They didn't set it up in order to be a business person. And yet what you find is you end up having those ghastly conversations. You know, I'm sorry, Flossie, but much as I love you, I do understand your problems. I know you've got a mortgage. I know you've got 3 children, but I'm going to sack you because of what you've done, you know. And no one likes having those conversations. And likewise, those conversations when clients come back and they say it's not good enough and so there's a real dilemma. And I think the other dilemma is, you know, when you're on your own, it's all about execution. And when you get to about 20 people, the graph for execution just vanishes and you do no execution. But the graph for delegation, which was 0 when you started, is now up there. So there's this crossover point where we go from being I'm the person who does everything in this business to I'm the person who doesn't do everything. And hey, I'm kind of not in control. I'm kind of herding cats, but there is a system and process in place, and it does work. And it's like taking the stabilizers off the bike. It's like really scary, but it does work, you know?
And that's a good analogy as well, because listen, guys, I don't think Robert or I would deny and say that there isn't an element of faith in this as well. You know, we do recognize it's a hard thing to change the way we are and to change our spots. But trust us when we say that taking that first step of delegating, you know, and pushing it away from us and saying, right, listen, I know I employed you because and this is how you're supposed to be employing, by the way, employ people who are better than you. You don't want to employ people who are worse than you, because you're going to end up doing their work for them. Employ people who are better than you. Push that website to them, say, right, go build this website. I know you're going to do it differently to the way that I want it done and the way that I would do it. But that's why if you don't do it, then I'm going to have to do it. So you go build the website. And when things go right, pat yourself on the back and say, right, delegation worked for me once. You know, do it again, do it 3, 4, 5 times. As you do it more and more, your faith in delegation, your faith in the team that you have around you will grow, and you'll be able to push more and more away from you, and you'll be able to get more and more. And as you know, to Robert's analogy of the 2 graphs, you'll reach that point quicker, and you'll start to free yourself up from stress, not just time, but stress, man. You won't be laying awake that night worrying about the completion of a website, because you know you've got a good team executing that for you.
Yeah, and I think there's also so there's that shift in mindset, and you know, there's a couple of things for me. So post-its all around the office. I have a post-it off my monitor just there that says, how have I helped grow the business in the last 15 minutes? Yeah. So I think there's this like, oh yeah, That's what my job is. My job is not to just deliver a bit more work for a client, but it's about how do I grow the business. There's a post-it on my door that says, "What would Robert do?" So when someone comes to the office, they go, "Oh, I'm just going to ask him." You know, I've got people everywhere here now. You know, and if every one of them just came in once a day, I'd never get any work done. Yeah. So I've got a big post-it and it says, "What would Robert say?" So they come in and they go, "Oh, I don't know what to do about these two options we've got for the new website design. What would Robert say?" Robert would say, what is the brand messaging meant to say? What was the purpose document that you had to do that? Yeah. And then there's another bit which I think is about processes. You know, if you do something twice,
yeah,
write the process and get someone else to do it. You know, because it's not the best use of your time.
Completely. Listen, as a resource partner who executes on behalf of other digital agencies, we're 100% process-based. We're ISO certified, for God's sake. That's how far we've gone, how important processes are to us. So you're preaching to the choir here. Robert, listen, man, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. We try to keep these things short, but we'd love to have you back on, please. You know, hopefully in the future, maybe we can do another one about a different topic, because I really think you've got some value to add to the community. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. It's been a real pleasure talking with you guys.
Awesome. And yeah, guys, for those who managed to catch it and join in, you know, thanks for coming through. And we will, Robert, we'll add Robert's details down below in a comment. And from that accountability space, just a heads up, I've actually recently been invited to an accountability group on Slack, which I'd be happy to, I'll ask them if they're willing to open it up to other agencies and other businesses, and I'll shoot the link into the group if you know, if they're happy to do that. Because I think, you know, to Robert's point about accountability and just being, even if you've never met the people, just somebody to check in and say, "Hey man, you said you were going to do that PDF, you said you were going to build that website, you said you were going to update that blog, have you done it," etc. Just helps it. It's like a task list that reminds you of things. Thank you so much, Robert. Be well, eh?
And you take care.